You know, if I ask you a question, who won the First World War? I am sure you don't have any answer. If I ask you another question, who won in the Second World War? I am sure you don't have the answer. In war, nobody wins actually. People loses, humanity loses, territory loses, integrity loses, finance loses. My question to you, do you see any hope that Russia is going to stop this war?
Well, that's a very complicated question. If you look at the global powers, whether it is the US or Russia, and maybe in future we might see that happening to China as well, they have always been involved with wars. That's one way of expressing their territorial ambitions and territorial superiority over other smaller nations. And this is not going to go away anytime soon. So I would like to see Russia stopping their war effort in Ukraine, or for that matter, US and Europe's insistence on Ukraine continuing this war on their side. So I would love to see both sides coming to a negotiating table and having a negotiated settlement to their differences. And not only there, I would also like to see similar negotiated settlements in Gaza, in other theaters of war around the world. But the realist in me is telling me that that's not what we're going to see.
Right, sir. Sir, right this moment I have a breaking news in my hand, ladies and gentlemen, viewers inside the country and around the globe. Former Speaker of Ukraine's parliament was assassinated in Lviv, nearing city of Ukraine's capital, sparking domestic and international condemnation and prompting an ongoing investigation. Again, problem in Kiev. I want to ask different questions to Mr. Habibullah N. Karim. Do you see any hope that Israel is going to occupy or quit the fight, confrontation, frontline battle with the unarmed, innocent women and children in Palestine and Gaza?
Well, if I were Israel, or let's say the policymaker in Israel, setting the policy for war, setting the policy for geographical expansion into Gaza and Palestine, I do not see any pressure on me, meaning Israel, to move away from that strategy. So in other words, as long as the US keeps on blindly supporting Israel, as long as European leaders meekly tolerate Israel's aggression, Israel will never ever change their strategy on Palestine or Gaza or the whole. It's not just their territorial ambitions are not limited to only this part. This is only the current manifestation. They have a much wider plan, and we have even seen in the leaked documents by Assange that they had a much bigger plan for the Middle East, taking over like 11 countries in the Middle East, and even causing the strife in Libya and many other countries are part of that. So I do not see Israel moving away from that strategy. Israel is by default an extension of the American hegemonist policies or ambitions in the world. And as long as the US can use Israel as the attack dog and remain away from the war front, they will keep on doing that.
Let us be very honest on one thing. If it is called that Hezbollah, Houthi, Hamas, Iraqi militias and IS are the proxy of Iran, Why we cannot call Israel is the proxy of United States to in the Middle East? What is your comment on that, sir?
There are even more interesting versions of that. Many people would like to jokingly say that the US is the proxy of Israel. Well, I think this whole US proxy, or let's say Iran proxy thing, has a long historical context. No matter what we think or do, we cannot while away or do away with that historical context. So, and each side has their grievances, each side has their strategic beliefs and options. So, only way we can see a de-escalation of these global tensions from these major theaters of war is if both sides actually see to it that in a war nobody wins.
I just want to do a question to him. You see the recent export trending, trade imbalance. You see the silence of world's most powerful financial organizations like World Bank, IMF, IFC, JICA, ADB, IDB. On the other side, we see the activities and very fast move by BRICS countries, and we see Donald Trump is losing control on Vladimir Putin. What you see in the economic perspective in coming days as a businessman?
Well, the fact remains that US is the largest economy in the world today, and China is fast catching up. So China is already the second largest economy, and will probably in 5 years or less become surpass the US as the largest economy in the world. So, and if you, not only that, even India is going to be the third biggest economy very soon, and even Bangladesh is projected to be one of the top 20 economies probably within the next 10 to 15 years. So this indicates a sea change in the global economic order. So no matter what the US thinks, or let's say that today's G20 economic powers think, they know, and they know it very well, that the economic influence that they have, they are sitting on shifting sands. So they are obviously going to, that influence is going to fritter away no matter what they do. Only way they could have perpetuated this influence, economic influence, if they could exert military power over the globe. I don't think that's going to happen again. We are not going to have a global war like the Second World War or the First World War. If there is a global war today, you have no way of knowing how that will play out with China and India, and even, for example, even other global powers that we see that they're keeping things under wraps. But when it comes to a war situation, they might flare up, or they might expose their true military might, and things would be very, very different. Just because in conventional arsenal and nuclear arsenal, even conventional nuclear arsenal, I would say, the old style arsenal, the US has a dominance or Russia has a dominance, does not mean that in a future war they will actually dominate the war theaters. This is already proven in many ways by China, many ways by even to some extent by Israel in a smaller context. So, and people have learned from that. Taiwan is learning from that. South Korea is learning from that. I hope that we are learning from that. Bangladesh as a small country in a very hot neighborhood. So that militarily we cannot be knocked around. So just economic might is not good enough.
Right.
We also in parallel need to ensure our
Safety, security.
sovereignty and the geographical boundaries
Sir,
with military might.
one thing I want to put in your table, it is called in the international relation topics or subject that if you are looking for security, you might look at the West. If you want to go for the business prospect or economic prosperity, forget about the West, look at the East and specify with China, because China is the largest manufacturing hub. As a very senior businessman, you have traveled a lot. Do you agree this that Bangladesh should follow in mid of this policy for security West and for business East?
Well, I mean, let me go back to the original philosophy of our founders of this country. When we became independent, our position was that we will be friends with everybody. We will not be part of any alliance. And we will trade with everybody. We will keep our borders, protect our borders, we will protect our sovereignty. I think we should continue with that strategy, both politically and militarily. Now, coming to the philosophical aspects that you have pointed out, I think the Western dominance of the global theaters, that was not only necessarily because of their economic might or military might. In most cases, they were achieved through fraud and chicanery. I mean, even if you go back to the Israel-Egypt war, the final leg of the war was won by bribing the Egyptian generals, not through military strategy. So the way Europeans came into the Indian subcontinent, they were vastly outnumbered by the military powers in India. But we meekly surrendered because we fell into the trap set by them by pitching friends and foes on the Indian side. So they are very good at that. They are very good at dividing people and putting them at loggerheads.
Right, sir.
I think we need to be aware of our own situation. We need to choose who our friends are and who our enemies are.
I clearly understand. Hope our viewers also understand.